Howdy y'all. So as of the making of this video, it has been a little over 3 years since I first started uploading entry point content. And we've already grown an impressive amount, so thank y'all so much for joining me and helping me grow my channel. Though I haven't only grown in subscriber numbers, I've also grown with my art style and animation, and I've gotten way better at both since I first started out. Unfortunately, my mic quality hasn't improved since the beginning though. I'm still working on that. But my point is, I've recently updated all of the designs for the entry point characters for the millionth time. Though it's probably one of the most major design updates, because usually in the past all I've really done is just keep the old baseline art and just tweaked a few things as time went on, but I've scratched that and have now completely redrawn them. New update, new art style, and for some of them even new designs completely. But I've already made a design update video before, so this time I'm going to do something different by comparing these new latest designs to my very first entry point designs, and we can all look at together just how my art style has grown and improved and changed over the years, so I thought that would be fun. So without further ado, first up is the director. So obviously there's the improvement of actually giving characters facial variety and making their heads more than just circles. But there's also a bunch of other changes, such as actually making his hair look good and more accurate, also improving the way his clothes were designed, and also improving the anatomy a little bit, though the anatomy on this one hasn't changed too much since it's still mostly solid for me. And something new you're going to see for all of the character designs is the improvement of the direction of their feet. They're not just suddenly jutting sideways anymore like they all have broken ankles. Next up is Dimitri. And another constant improvement you're going to see throughout some of these designs is the improvement of the direction of the hands. A lot of you know that I have struggled a lot with hand anatomy over the years. Backward hands, sideways hands, and that has not been more prevalent in anywhere than my earlier videos. I still struggle with it now, but I'm way better than before, and usually, most of the time, 70% of the time, I can get the hand direction actually correct now. So that's been improved for Dimitri. And as you can see, I've made his beard more hairy and scraggly, more accurate to the actual design, which I guess would be more spiky is the best way I can describe it. And also, the turtleneck is actually a turtleneck. Next up is Falcon, and probably right away the most obvious thing is the improvement of the hair. It actually looks better now. And it might be difficult to tell, but if you look at his sleeves and the pants, there's a little bit of a camo pattern since I realized that was there in the first place. But yeah, this design I'm more so using for more serious animations and also more complicated art pieces. But for normal videos, his outfit is just kind of a pain to draw from how complicated it is, so you might see it's simplified for that sake. But I still think this is pretty much an improvement to that aside. Obviously not any fault of Bunpunk, since when they made these outfits, they were for the purpose of one-time use to be put on a character model, not to be drawn over and over and over again. And I've been drawing Falcon for 3 years, so can you imagine how painful it has been to keep up with this complicated outfit? Especially when I added the little camo patches. Now, this next one isn't a canon character design, but a lot of my viewers have grown to love my characterization of the freelancer, who I call Finch, so it's only fair I show their improvement as well. And this design has a far more complicated history. I mean, just examining the outfit alone, you can see how many times it has changed. I mean, it's changed a lot. At one point, the clothing was a jacket and not a hoodie. Only recently that I finally switched it back to a hoodie. And now it's an even baggier hoodie. And this little fella has been through hell and back with his character design, but now I think I'm finally pleased with it. And one more thing I noticed is that the hand holding the raven is still wrong, but I'm gonna fix that after this video. A lot of you might not know this, but this isn't even really Finch's first design, and at first they were called Genesis, and instead of being a red head of spiky hair, it was like a black-blue color like Rivera's hair, and it was more like a emo hairstyle. But since I like to imagine this freelancer as kind of the neutral embodiment of what the canon freelancer would be like, I wanted to lean less into the emo aesthetic. And the biggest reason they had emo hair at first was because it was the only hair I knew how to draw at the time. And here's the after Retribution design. Yes, they still have the rose. I never actually got rid of that. It's just been quite a few videos since I've actually drawn them, in a video where the time period was after Retribution. And next up is good ol' Harvey, and probably the most obvious thing is the difference in poses. So the story behind that is, when I first saw Harvey, when Prelude came out, there was only Prelude. The freelance heist didn't come out at all. It was just the first cutscene. And at first I really thought that Harvey was going to be more like a himbo, which is basically a dumb but attractive person. Usually an overly confident person who's also dumb. But he ended up being more darker and serious and, well, manipulative and also a backstabber. So the expression changed. I changed it to fit that more, but the pose still wasn't quite right, so eventually I just redrew that into something that was far more fitting for what his personality actually ended up being. Besides the pose and the art style update, he looks pretty much the same, other than his shoes and his watch, which got more detail. I don't know why, but I never realized that the wrist thing around him was a watch. I thought it was just a wristband, but I eventually realized it was a watch, so now it's actually a watch and not just looking like he's going into a trampoline park. Hemlock. So with him, it's mostly just a art style update. There isn't that much else different of him, other than the colors of his jacket and his shirt. Those kind of changed a bit, but overall he's still pretty much the same, ignoring the art style update. Jackdaw definitely has a way more extensive clothing history, which is similar to the Freelancer. Outfit and character design as a whole has just changed a lot over his years. The few most obvious things are probably going to be the scars on his arms, because for a long time, I couldn't tell if the marks on his arms on his character were muscles or just scars. But now I like to think that it's both, so eventually I went and added the scars. Plus, I really like drawing scars. And after a point, I realized that I actually drew Jackdaw's outfit way wrong, which is why a lot of little things are different. The biggest thing I missed being a scarf, which, to my credit, when an object like a scarf isn't 3D, when it's normally supposed to be, it's very easy to miss. So, that's what happened. And of course, you can see the actual variety in his face, which is the way, his facial features have been rearranged, and he actually looks more like a person and less like a circle with some features on it. Jane, other than the boots, is literally exactly the same, just with the art style update. Well, there's some history of the gloves, so the gloves were actually removed from her very first design and were not re-added until this very recent redesign. Because at first I saw her outfit from the, the Shadow War store, no, the Free Fall Softwork store, and I saw the gloves, so I drew them on her. But for some reason in-game, the body type that Sish uses doesn't allow anything to go over the hands. So in-game, it looks like a wristband and not gloves. So I was like, oh, I guess I got that wrong. So then they were wristbands forever. And although I did eventually realize what the screw-up was, I still didn't fix it until now, finally. Next up is Nightshade, who has also been through a lot. Lots of character design changes. Oh, Chaplet, you talking? You want to say hi to the viewers? Chaplet says hi. He's my cockatiel. Anyways. Yeah? You think so? You agree? Nightshade has been through a lot, hasn't she? Yeah, she has. You sing very well, Chaplet. Okay, back to the video. So you can see her outfit has changed quite a bit, notably below her waist. I mostly just simplified the fishnet little patch thingies, and also made her boots more obvious because I changed the direction of her feet, so now you can actually see the front details of her shoe. And as you can tell from the first design, Nightshade has been the most prominent example of me getting the hands all wrong. The hands holding the keycard and the USB is backwards, and she's holding the gun in a way that isn't even physically possible. So all that has been mended in the new design. And of course, her hair has also been through some changes. The first design was the first way I drew her, but eventually I felt like it was too similar to Sparrow's hair, so I changed it to be far more accurate to her in-game hair. But now I feel like that's boring, so I've changed her hair once again to the design that's definitely the least accurate to how she actually looks, but I think it looks the best. So, we're going with it. Rivera's design has probably been the most intact one. I mean, look at her. There's literally nothing different except for the art style update, which is still good. It's still a great improvement, but otherwise, with a whole bunch of other characters who've had completely different outfits or completely different hands or faces or hair or whatever. Rivera has just like not been through any change whatsoever. Why improve upon perfection, you know? Rivera will always be the queen. Rose, who, as you can see, her outfit has been through a lot of changes and improvements over the years, as well as her general pose is slightly different, and her expression is finally back to the more calm, smug one. At one point I changed it to a more excited, sociable one, but now I think the smug one's more fitting again, so it's back to that. And of course, you can see she's gripping the gun in a way that is not scientifically possible, and definitely unsafe, the way you would probably imagine a 5-year-old to hold a gun. So yeah, that's all an improvement. And look, the hands. They're actually normal. You can also see how I've made her hair more spunky over the years. I mean, the hairstyle is still essentially the same, except for the new one, it now juts out far more. Ryan Ross, who, once again, the hair, dear God, I was not good at drawing the charmer hair back then, but eventually I learned, and now it actually finally looks good. And his expression has changed slightly, so he's probably the one that changed the most in that regard, well, other than Rose. So Ryan, his clothes hasn't been through very much change, though he was the very first one I experimented on with the new face shape. So his design still holds a special place in my heart with all of that, even if it seems like just another generic art style update. And look, the hands! He's actually holding the gun in a way that makes sense, in a way that doesn't break the laws of physics. Sish never had to worry about hands. The characters don't even have fingers canonically. Sparrow, who got a really big art style update, and with her expression, though obviously the most obvious change is her clothing, and that's because at the first, with Sparrow's appearance, she didn't have her own outfit. It wasn't until like sometime around the Phoenix Picnic game that her outfit got updated and Bunpunk gave her something original. So when I first drew her, the outfit was relevant, but as it got updated, I updated that as well. So yeah, just a general improvement, and again, the hands actually make sense and look far better. And last, but maybe least, we have Ren, who is in the same boat as Sparrow. He didn't have his own original outfit at first until he did. So that's now been updated, and I am so grateful for that, because look at his old outfit. There was 8 different colors I had to keep track of. His new one only has 2. And it has like no complications. It's the simplest design with only 2 colors. This is amazing. But that aside, once again, was bad at drawing the charmer hair. Now I'm not, so that's amazing. I love talking with y'all, so please leave comments about the designs, which one you think are best, which ones you liked, maybe even some things you don't like about the new design, that would be cool anyways. I just want to hear your feedback. All critique is accepted. Critique is how I got this far with my art style change anyways. And if you want to know how to improve this much, constant practice and constant critique. That is the key. Like, that really is. If you have any friends that you show your drawings to, ask them what they genuinely think of your art style, what they think could be improved on, because that's what I did, and I took all their tips and advice to heart, and now I'm way better than I am before. Definitely still not perfect, not in the slightest, but still better than before. And improvement is awesome, and it takes time too, so don't rush things. But still do actively work towards improving, because if you don't do that, your art style is just gonna change slowly. Well, I mean, it's going to change slowly anyways, but it'll go way faster if you make constant strides and efforts towards improvement. But don't go crazy. Don't get upset if you can't reach perfection yet, because that doesn't even exist. Anyways, thank y'all for everything. See y'all.